From the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, this is the EntreLeadership podcast, where I take calls from leaders like you about what it takes to win at any stage of business and leadership. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host with over 30 years of experience leading in the trenches, right alongside you. If you got a question you want to ask on the show, you can fill out the form at EntreLeadership.com/ask or call and leave us a note, and we'll get back to you, make you a caller on the show at 844-944-1070, 844-944-1070. David starts us off in Rochester, Maryland. Hey, David, welcome to the show.
How you doing, Dave? Good to hear your voice.
You too, sir. How can I help?
Yeah, so I am 28 years old. Work in the family business. What we do is we do concrete and asphalt work in the city there. And I am coming up on 10 years here in about a couple of weeks working for the family business. And, you know, it has its ups and downs, but I guess more so my question is it time for me to move on, or is it time for me to continue on with the family business? So.
Okay. Why would you move on and why would you stay?
Well, why I would stay is it's kind of always been talked about becoming an owner. And the last few years, basically what I've been told is, you know, the business has been struggling to a point to where I would be obtaining a burden. And I've become to realize I want to be an owner, but now I'm starting to realize, I'm like, do I want to own this, or do I want to own something that is truly my own?
Okay, so it's not making money?
Yeah, it's been a really rough last couple years, especially last year with this weird dip we had in the economy. We felt it for sure on our end. We were probably just shy of about $1 million less in revenue last year than we were the year previous.
Okay, so what is the top line in the business? What's it make? Revenue.
Top line last year was 2.2 or 2.3 in the year previous.
Your revenue went down 50%?
Just about. Yeah, we had a really rough year last year, and even, you know, my paycheck and, you know, my family's paychecks were definitely hurting from it. And some of that's due to the economy, but some of that I think was due to decisions that were made that, you know, from the top down.
Well, you say that like it's some fake thing. You're talking about your dad screwed up.
It's my dad and brother together.
How old is your brother?
My brother is 36.
So you're going to end up owning it with him.
Yeah, and, you know, I love and respect them both, and I have great relationships with the both of them individually as well, but I just don't know if I agree with some of the decisions that have been made. I guess I don't know if I am allowed to go or should go into the thick of it, but this has kind of stemmed back.
What is your title at the office? What do you do?
I'm the operations manager.
Okay. So if they're making decisions that are screwing up profitability and you're the operations manager, whether you're family or not, it's your job to go into the thick of it.
Yeah. And that's maybe that's probably where I fall short.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If the scenario changed and you said, okay, I get to have a voice at the table, and together we start making decisions that I consider wise, or I can't stay.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I feel like there's definitely been times where I have, being an operations manager even is a loose title. I'm really a glorified foreman is kind of more so my role. Every day I'm out on job sites.
How many team members do y'all have?
We have about 10 back in the shop and then about 5 to 6 in the front office. So.
And you're running the 10 at the shop and your dad and brother run the office.
Yep.
Yeah. You are a foreman. Yeah.
Yeah. That's, I say that as my, you know, on my business card, but it's really a glorified foreman. So.
Yeah. It's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not a bad thing. It's just where you are. And, well, I mean, I think there's two things going on. One is you don't have a seat at the table. Two is the company's not profitable because of decisions they've been making, and it makes it unappealing to want to take it over. Okay. And those two things go together. So we need to get this thing profitable and appealing to take over. And a part of that is that I need to be involved in the decisions. And I have to have some hope for that, or it's probably time for me to take off.
Yeah.
One of those two. And either one of those is okay. It's not an act of I hate you, I'm mad at you. It's not there's no unkindness or evil words that need to be said. It's just this thing, you said you don't want to turn it over till it quits being a burden, and I think I know why it's a burden. At least I got an opinion anyway. And so I think we've got to make some different decisions. That $1 million that we lost last year in revenue, that ain't cool. And I want to help with that, and I want to help from an owner's or a future owner's seat. So let's form a little board of directors, the three of us, to run this business together in preparation of my brother and I taking it over when it's profitable later. And if we can't do that, if I'm going to be in the shop and be a foreman while I perceive you all are making decisions I'm not on board with, then that probably is my signal that I need to try something else. And I'm okay with either one, Dad. Whatever y'all want to do, but this is how I'm feeling right now, and I need to just hear this out with y'all.
Yeah. No.
What are they going to say when you say that?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I have a hunch. My, it's a family business, and we get along really well, but sometimes things can get squirrely, and tempers flare, and that's kind of the ins and outs of a family business. And
no,
I don't think it would be
it's
like that.
Not the ins and outs of a family business.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's ins and outs of people who have tempers.
Yeah. Yeah, and not on the same page. I mean, there's a lot of, my brother has 5 kids with a 6th on the way here, and, my dad is way beyond, retiring means. Like, I wished he retired a few years ago because he, deserves to take my mom out and do amazing things, but he's a hard-working man. But
do they have any money?
No. That's a whole nother can of worms.
No, that ties into this can of worms. It's all the same can of worms.
It is. They've reinvested a lot of money into this business just to keep it afloat, just to float that winter time. And there's been plenty of times where my brother or my dad or sometimes even myself will get paid late, or they wouldn't get a paycheck some weeks because it's just that. In my personal opinion, if I'm being completely honest, I feel like we should have closed the doors 2 years ago.
Oh.
If I'm being completely honest. Because I'm not in the business, but I see a lot of the ins and outs. I see the stress and the toll it takes.
Then why would you stay?
Because I love my dad and brother, and I'd do anything.
You can love your dad and brother and not work there.
Yeah. The other side of that coin, too, is this year, the start has been much better and quicker, and we have a really solid team out back. And so I'm seeing the fruits of that.
So you just told me you should close it. Should you close it or not?
And that's where I'm at this floating point here, and that's kind of why I reached out. Is because when I inquired, I wasn't sure if I was going to have a job the next month. And then now we're full-fledged, full bore, and I'm like, is this going to be an actual good year, or is this going to be the last 8 years where it's like we're short in the winter and we hope we have a good summer? It's kind of been a same process. So I don't know. I'm kind of getting a little sick of it.
You're done. You're done. You keep talking yourself out of it every time I talk you back into it. So I think you're done. I think you've lost hope in your dad and your brother's ability to run this in a way that is profitable, and you don't think it'll change. I think you're done. If you want to sit down and talk to them and try to straighten it, that's not a bad thing, but you need to hold it with an open hand and be gentle and kind. And I have a low expectation because I don't think you're. Henry Cloud says we have necessary endings when we lose hope in the future, and everything you point back to is hope in the future, and don't equate your love for your family with working there. Those are not the same things. As a matter of fact, it could be an act of love for you to not work there if you're unhappy. So, or you've lost hope in their abilities. You disrespect them, but I respect them. No, you disrespected them. You don't believe in their business acumen, either one of them. And and you're the youngest one in the bunch. So I don't know what's going on, but that's what I'm hearing, dude. So I think you're through, but I think you could talk to them about it gently. And if a tempers flare and blow up, then maybe that's your answer. because I'm not working for somebody yelling at me. I don't care who it is, okay? Done with that. This yelling, screaming, cussing, temper thing, nah, I'm done. This conversation's over that instant, no matter who it is. I don't care who it is. So you don't have the right to do that because of DNA. It doesn't give you that. So that's where we're going with that. Anyway, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Oh, man, I'm sorry you're facing all that, David. Well, one thing about it, a shortage of money or an extreme amount of money, either one magnifies the problems in a business, and that includes a family business. I've been running a business for over 30 years, and technology has changed a lot. Now the hot topic is AI. And I understand it might be intimidating, but like a lot of other tech that took some getting used to, AI is just a tool to help us work faster and smarter. So you'd better get on board, otherwise you're going to get left behind. NetSuite by Oracle offers AI-powered tools that help small businesses improve efficiency and make smarter decisions by bringing all major business processes into one platform. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth for the real-time data you need to take advantage of opportunities. Then you can forecast better, scale more efficiently, and streamline manual tasks that take too many resources away from what your business actually does. So join the more than 41,000 businesses, including Ramsey Solutions, that trust NetSuite to help tackle some of their biggest challenges. And right now you can download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/Ramsey. It's free at netsuite.com/Ramsey. As a small business owner, it's your responsibility, your job to set expectations for each role in your company and make sure those expectations are met. But you can't hold your team accountable to something you didn't communicate. Our free key results areas template will help you set expectations and create role clarity for every member of your team. Everyone needs a KRA, a key results area. Both of you initial it. We've decided what winning looks like. This is what winning looks like. If you feel confident that everyone is working on the right things to drive your business forward, you feel successful because you are. Go to EntreLeadership.com/role clarity to download the template for free and start setting clear expectations for your team. If you're on YouTube, use that QR code thingy there. That'll make it happen. Melissa's in Little Rock. Hey, Melissa, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Well, I'm the owner of an independent run specialty retail store and a race timing business.
And a what business?
Race timing, like if people run a 5K.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Specialty retail. Does it have to do with running as well?
Yes.
Okay, so You're all into running. Okay.
All into running. But I have 9 employees, including myself, and we do about $700,000 annually in revenue. My question is, how do I handle multiple extended employee absences that are negatively impacting the business?
Why are they out?
Well, mostly it's health reasons. There's a lot of issues. It could be surgeries. It could be, it's a variety of things, or it's someone in their family, that's experiencing, these health problems and things like that. It'd be one thing if it were one person, but it's multiple, and I'm just a small retail store, and it's gotten a little out of hand.
Yeah. At your size, you can only absorb so much of it in the name of grace. And then you can't continue to absorb it all because you won't have the money to pay the people that are there because the work's not getting done. Okay? So at our size, we can extend ridiculous grace for someone that has a legitimate health issue. Okay? Like we've had people out on fighting cancer for months on end, okay? And we continue to pay them, but we've got the ability to cover it and it doesn't cause us to go broke, you know what I'm saying? But when I was your size, I couldn't do that. I didn't have the money to do that, like you said. And so what I did in those days, and I guess what you're going to have to do is go, my grace can only go as far as the math allows it. And that's what your frustration point is. And so I'm going to tell people that. I'm going to say the validity, how valid your absence is, does not matter after a certain point. I can't cover it, even if I wanted to. I'm really sorry that your spouse has cancer and you're having to help them. It's horrible. I'm crying with you. I'm praying for them. But you not working for 4 months, I can't do it. I've got to fill the position. I got to get the work done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's not unkind. It's the math is a taskmaster. I mean, it'll whip your butt, and that's what you're facing here. So I think you just got to have a talk with the team as a group and say, listen, we've had a lot of time off for different things, and it's going to make us to where I can't continue to operate. And so, you've got a set amount of personal time off, PTO. After that point, you're going to take your time off unpaid. And if that's too extended, I'm going to have to fill the spot because I have to get the work done.
Where we are now is that out of PTO, out of, and all that. And I'm just.
Yeah. Well, and they're not getting paid when they're off now, right?
Correct.
Okay. So then you've just got to say, how long can I do that before I've got to fill the spot?
Okay.
How long? You know the answer.
Yeah.
I do too. It's a month.
Okay.
Right? It's not longer than a month, is it?
It is right now.
No, I'm saying it's not reasonable at your size they go through their PTO, which means they've already not worked for a month, right? How much PTO
Correct.
do you give them?
I give my full-time employees 3 weeks.
Okay, so there's a month, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then they take another month unpaid. So now they've not worked for 2 months. That's the most you can do. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
After that, you can't continue. And I will tell you this, among our team, we also will draw a line on some of that. Even though we don't have to mathematically, we just do it as a matter of reasonableness. Look, you're just never here. So we probably ought to call it out loud and say that. And it's not a single thing. It's 14 different things because some of these people are just perpetual. And sometimes it's all legitimate, but it's just like, my God, your life looks like a country song. It's just, I'm sorry. This is awful. It's horrible. And I feel bad for you, but I also can't go on not getting this work done. We need this work done. And so, for now, we're just going to have, if you take more than this off, we're not going to be able to sanction even without pay. And so, and you've got to look at it on a case by case and go, okay, this one's one I really need to step up and invest in. But this other one, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm out of patience. And that's okay. You own the business. Let me tell you, Melissa, they can't work anywhere else. Corporate America will fire their butt.
Yeah.
With no feelings. At least you got feelings. Right?
True.
You are not a bad person for setting out a guideline here and saying, okay, you decide, but I think listening to you, it's after PTO and unpaid for 1 month. That's about all I can do in a year. I've got to replace you otherwise. With the rare exception of you look at it and go, well, I feel like God's telling me to invest in this, but that's a rare exception. I've had a few rare exceptions around here, and I've had a few things I went, no, you're just sick all the time, and it's awful, and I'm sad, and I've got to get this work done. And so I can't, you've been here 90 days, and you've been here 4 days of the 90 days. That doesn't work. And I've had that, the first 90 days. They're not here but 4 times, and that's just that's not cool. It's not that, and usually it's not, you and I are not discussing people who are just lazy. We're talking about people that have legitimate health problems at home or themselves, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing is that none of them I would look at and go, oh, you're
a bum.
slacking or you're exactly.
Yeah, it's not somebody being a bum. Somebody being a bum's easy. They're just done. Okay, you can come to work or don't come to work. One of the two. This is, you're not your place to work anymore. So, because you don't work. So that's that's how that works. So anyway, yeah, I think the thing is, welcome to leadership. Sometimes it's hard. Usually it's hard. Most days it's hard because small business people like you and me, we care about folks. We don't just cut their throat. But you also have this math thing, and you're seeing a pattern here that I've got too large a portion of my workforce not at work, and I can't get our work done. So I've got to tighten up on this, or I'm going to go out of business, and all these people are going to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
And that's the reality. So you've got to make that decision. The good of the whole outweighs the good of the one. And when you can't afford to do it, you can't afford to do it. You don't have the money. You don't have the manpower. You don't have the bandwidth. You don't have the margin. And that's not evil. It's just the stage of business you're at. And I'd like to tell you it gets easier. It gets more complicated is all it gets from here. But you're doing a good job, and you got a good heart, and you're a good leader. They should be privileged to work for you. This is the EntreLeadership Podcast. So almost 40 years ago, my church had this cool idea that the volunteers were going to take a personality assessment. And we took two kinds. We took a spiritual gifts assessment. If I recall, it was called HOUTS, H-O-U-T-S, I believe. It's a long time ago. But it was, what is your spiritual gift, the giftings in Galatians and so forth in the Bible. And then we took a thing called DISC. It was the first time I ever saw DISC, the D-I-S-C. It takes about 20 minutes to take the little survey, and then it gives you insights into the type of personality you are and how you make decisions. I came home, I was all gleeful when I had the results, and I read it, and I went, this thing read my mail. It knows who I am, and that's pretty cool. And I handed it to my wife, and she said, yes. And I went, yes, what? And she said, this is what's wrong with you. I said, no, this is me. This is me. This is not what's wrong with me. And to this day, she's convinced her personality type is the right kind and everyone else is the wrong kind. She's not figured out how the DISC works. So we laugh about it. We mess with her all the time at family gatherings. Then, of course, we have the Enneagram come out, right? And we have the all the other assessments. Strength Finders is wonderful. Our friend Pat Lencioni has Working Genius, which is an incredible thing for how you get work done, how you view work. All of these assessments are great. I recommend. I'm a kind of an assessment junkie. I like because they give you insights into other folks, how they tick, and makes you have patience with them because they're different than you. Duh. And it also helps you know how to communicate with people if you know what Enneagram they are and you know how they're going to process decision-making, how they're going to process emotions and so on. And so we started using the DISC profile many years ago, not to the exclusion of the others, but when you join Ramsey, you take this little test and boom, it prints out where you are on the DISC. And we actually put it up on your work area. So when we walk into your work area, we can look at it, see your personality style, and at least have a clue how you're going to process the conversation I'm getting ready to have when I walk in your office. Or vice versa. When you walk in my office, you go, oh, I probably need to talk to Dave that way if I want to get through to Dave because he's going to process this way. So leading up, leading down, leading sideways, whatever it is, loving people well, knowing how they think and how they tick is a good thing. If you've never taken this, you can get it on our website. It's very inexpensive. Lots of people use it. And again, I think you ought to do a bunch of these things. I like this one because it's very simple. Is it perfect? Oh, good Lord, no, none of these things are. Is it from the Bible? No, that's not what it is. It just tells you an idea. So the DISC stands for four different personality styles. They're in 4 quadrants. D is the decisive, I is the interactive, S is the stabilizing or steady, C is the cautious or conscientious personality. Let's talk about them for a second. I'm a high DI, off the chain, like a 98, 99. Okay, I'm an I when I'm on stage, and I'm a D when I'm running the business. Okay, so D's are the decisive. There's actually a book out that we read to our children growing up, The Treasure Tree by Gary Smalley. And I believe it was Gary Smalley. I think it is, yeah. And It had different animals. The D is the lion. Rawr, okay? Very driven, assertive, fiercely competitive, doesn't do details. We drive projects beautifully because we just drive. We're fast-paced. We're skeptical. We make decisions very quickly and easily, and if they're wrong, we'll make another decision. And we are there's an axis, by the way, running through this 4 quadrants. One is people-oriented to task-oriented. The other is fast decision to slow decision. Okay, the D is task and fast. Fast decision maker, task-oriented versus people-oriented. And that's where we fall. That's what I'm doing when I'm running the business. Some of the stories I tell about Ramsey when I'm coaching you folks is from the D perspective coming out in me. The I, the I is the otter. They're a party looking for a place to happen. If you don't have eyes around, there is no fun in the room. Fun comes from eyes. They invented fun. They are the fun meisters. They are fun-loving, sociable, persuasive, may not naturally stay focused on details. People think they're ADD because they all are. No, I'm kidding. Care deeply about what's going on with their teammates. They feel before they think. They're people-oriented. They think really fast. They make decisions fast, but they make it through a people paradigm rather than a task paradigm. About 10% of the people are Ds. About 25% are Is. Ds focus on when. Is focus on who. If you have someone in charge of parties at your company and they're not an I, epic fail. If you have people in charge of projects and they're an I, epic fail. The Ds need to be running the projects or somebody else because there may be confetti involved, but the project will never be done. We will have 2 ice cream socials, but the project will never be done, okay? This is the I. Is are wonderful, and they're funny, and that's the part of me that comes out on stage or on a microphone, where all the sarcastic humor comes from, all that, the entertainment. They're very entertaining. The S is the golden retriever. Very steady, very loyal, big, beautiful eyes looking at you, looking into your soul. They're loyal team players. They like to get along. They hate conflict. They're supportive. They have strong listening skills. They're slow at decision-making because they want to make sure no one's feelings are going to be hurt. They're people-oriented and slow on the axis of decision-making. They ask why. About 40% of people are S's. A lot of you are S's. They have great ideas. You have to pull it out of them because they don't want to offend you. They never talk politics or religion at the wrong table, ever. They will never say something about Trump in front of a Trumper or vice versa. They just don't do it. The S's are the nicest, kindest, most wonderful people. I just love S's. They're so great. I have none of it. I do not understand it at all. But you need them around. You can count on them forever, and they're the ones that intuitively know if something's going wrong and you need to be patted on your little head. They just know it. They can tell, do you need someone to pray for you? I think Jesus told me to pray for you. No, he didn't. It was just an S. They just felt like you needed that. That's all it was. Jesus was not involved at all, although the prayer would be a good thing. I love these people. They're wonderful people. And if you don't have S's on the team, you got no steadiness. This is where all steadiness comes from. C, the cautious, conscientious personality. They are process. Their rules, their structure. That's their love language. And if you violate their love language, they have a little bit of Pharisee in them. They will get on you. They will tell you about the rules. You broke the rules. You're not allowed to break the rules. They are the head of the HOA. They will drive you nuts. I love them because they have all good data. They slow you down. They make you make decisions based on hard data, not feelings. Feelings are for children. You do not have feelings when you're a C. We go by the data. We go by the rules. Facts is facts, ma'am. That's the way it is. Thank you, Friday. That's the way it works. Project-focused, moderately paced, if not slow. They refuse to move sometimes because they get paralysis of the analysis. They are fabulous to have on the team. This is who you want doing accounting and writing code, baby, because it'll be right, and there's only one way to do accounting, right and wrong. Two ways, actually, but there's the right way and the wrong way. There's no creativity involved for you I's. If your I's are doing accounting, you're screwed, okay? And if a D does accounting, they don't do accounting. They don't do details. They don't want to hear about it. Just tell me after it's over, right? And so you need C's in the business. You need C's in your life to slow you down and help you make decisions based on the actual facts, particularly when there's a lot of drama going on. They're the ones that bring wisdom to the table. They are actually wonderful people. They do care very deeply. They just don't show their feelings because they only have a feeling once a year. And so that's what they're doing. They're wonderful. A dysfunctional C is a big-time pain in the butt Pharisee if you're dysfunctional. A big dysfunctional D is an overbearing tyrant. A dysfunctional I can't stay on task long enough to add any value. A dysfunctional S avoids conflict to the point they become an enabler. And so D-I-S-C. So if you're walking into someone's office and you see that they are a D or a C, you know they're going to be task-oriented, not people-oriented. They're not going to worry about your feelings. If you walk into their office and see they're an I or an S, you probably ought to be thinking about feelings because those people got some. And be thinking about that way. If you're going in with a D or an I, and you want to make a decision slowly, you're going to have a problem. Both of them are going to make a decision quickly. And some of you that you're in sales, what you do with a D and an I, you don't close them. You just go, Olay, and get out of the way. And they will run through the door, and you will close the door behind them. And we have a sale. You don't have to, you just get Olay, just wave the cape and go Olay and get out of the way. The other people, they get to the edge of the sale and they pause. The S wants to consider all the people's feelings before we buy. And the C says, do we have all the details? I'm not sure we have all the details. I'm not sure life is long enough to get all the details I want, but I need all the details before I can make a decision. And they get paralysis of the analysis. So if you're selling to people, you need to understand their style. Your style doesn't matter. You're serving them. So how are you going to serve them? You meet them where they are, and you understand, is this stuff perfect? No, but it's insightful, just like the Enneagram, just like Working Genius, just like Strength Finders. All of these things are insightful. This is kind of the beginning of that whole assessment craze that has now gone on. Everybody's got an assessment for something. And I was speaking at a leadership thing the other day, and every speaker was selling an assessment but me. And I kind of thought, well, I maybe need to get an assessment, but I don't have one. This is it. And it's just, the point is these things are not fix-alls and they're not perfectly accurate, but they do give us general insights and a good overlay for leading teams, for hiring people into teams. Like I'm a high D at work. If you're perpendicular on the thing, you're going to have conflict. And then perpendicular from me is the S. Okay, they're very people-oriented and slow to make decisions. I'm very task-oriented and fast to make decisions. So you got to think about these things when you're putting someone in key positions right next to you. It helps guide you in your hiring decisions and what seat on the bus, which, get the right people on the right seats on the bus, get the wrong people off the bus, all that kind of stuff. This helps with that. It's not a fix-all. We do consider this as one of the elements when we're hiring, but it is certainly not a deal breaker or a deal maker. Oh, we've got to have them. They're a high deal. No. Because a dysfunctional one of these will screw up everything. So and all of us have been immature or dysfunctional in these things at one time or another in our lives. So you can check all this out at RamseySolutions.com. You can buy the assessment. It's pretty cool. You can understand each other's communication styles, avoid unnecessary conflict, lead and motivate more effectively. The DISC. Fun stuff to kick around. Kevin is with us in Austin, Texas. Hey, Kevin, what's up?
Hi, Mr. Ramsey. Great to talk to you, sir.
You too, sir. What's up?
So my wife and I own a small business, and we provide turnkey material handling solutions for the warehouse and distribution operations. So we've been in business for 15 years now. We have about 10 employees and did about $15 million last year.
Wow. Good for you.
Thank you.
How can I help?
So my question is, how do I become comfortable delegating jobs that I've done in the past, or only I've done in the past, rather?
Training long enough mentoring, discipling long enough that you become very comfortable with two things with that team member on that job: competency and integrity. Competency means they can do the thing that you are wanting, that you have been doing, as well as you, or almost as well as you. Integrity means they're going to do it like you, not exactly like your personality, but aligned with your values. They're going to tell the truth. They're going to love the customer well. They're not going to cheat, steal. They're going to be a whole person that is mature that you can hand something to. Until you can trust their competency and integrity, which requires a little bit of time together, usually a lot of time, handing it off to them before you trust that is not wise. It's not micromanaging to train someone. Micromanaging is once they've proven themselves in competency and in integrity, and that's not a 20-minute exercise. But once they've proven themselves in a firefight to have your back and to do it the way that Kevin does it, and they can answer the question, what would Kevin do? And they can do it that way, then you're ready to hand it off to them. The more complicated and customer-facing and important customer-facing that the position is, the harder this is to accomplish because you have to spend more and more and more time with them.
All right.
So let me give you an example, okay? You can fix a computer at Ramsey if it's broken and you're on our tech team. That's fairly simple. You either can fix the freaking computer or you can't, okay? And so our tech leader in that area observes you. You were hired supposedly with some technical knowledge, and you can either fix the computer or you can't, okay? You can either turn the wrench or you can't, right? And so we observe that, and we should get them up to fixing computers because that's what they're paid to do, or replacing, or, hitting the piece of software, reloading the software, cold restart, whatever the magic is that does that, right? And they should be able to demonstrate that fairly quickly, and we need to be able to turn them loose or we got a problem. So the simpler the task, the quicker you should be able to delegate it to them. The more sophisticated and detailed the task, the harder that is. Does that make sense?
No, of course.
Yeah. And so leading your company like you would lead it as the final handoff in a succession plan, that would be the hardest one ever.
Right.
So for me to turn this over to Daniel Ramsey, the president, and that's, we've been working on that one 10 years, baby, 12 years now. And so, and it's not even all in his lap yet. So there we go, but that's the ultimate, is you turn it over to someone else, your job. But in the meantime, there's 100 or 1,000 other jobs we can turn over to someone else, and that's the idea of hiring someone so that they can do it. If you can't turn it loose once they have demonstrated competency and integrity, now that's on you. That's an emotionally immature person that gets too much satisfaction from being the dog. And they desperately need to be important, and they can't turn it loose. They can't hand it to someone else. Is any of this making sense?
No, totally. Yes, sir.
Okay. So give me an example of where we're going to turn some of this loose. Give me one.
Okay, so one of the things that I do is when I go to a customer, I have to be able to assess what their needs are. If I walk into a warehouse, I have to be able to assess where their opportunities are for, a problem and needing a solution.
Where you can add value.
Correct.
Can we be of service here, or do they already have their crap together? Yeah.
Right.
Okay, good. I like that. And there's probably, 50 components of that?
I mean, sure, there's a lot of different things that you could look at depending on what they do.
I mean, you could probably say that 80% of the opportunities fall within 10 items. I'm making this
Probably.
up. I'm making this up. It might be 12.
Sure.
It's not 42.
Sure. No.
Okay. If the whole list is 100, the 80-20 principle is going to apply. Out of the 100, 20% of them are going to have 80% of your opportunities, if something like that. I would guess that's true in most situations.
No, that's true.
Okay,
true,
so that's where we start. We got to train them on the most important 10 or the most important 12. These are the big 12. This is the big 8. This is the big 7. This is the big 17. I don't know what it is, but you got to learn the 17, and you got to look for those the first 35 seconds you're on the floor, baby. You're looking for these 17. As soon as you walk into this man's warehouse, this is where we can add value. And out of those 17, you're going to find 4 of them in 35 seconds. Watch. Look here. See it? Boom, boom, boom. Here's your target. Acquire the target. Put the bead on it. Put a laser on it. Go. And you just train them to think in force ranking from most important to least important opportunity. And then once you go through the 17, you got the big ones, you got something to sell from then to the guy and go, I can add value in these areas, and I can show you that in 8 minutes. And then there's another 26 things that we can probably add some value to, but I'm going to have to dig a little deeper and do a more thorough analysis, and then let them walk hand in glove with you and learn how to do the full analysis as well as the first thing you walk in, draw and fire. Did I touch a nerve? Does that make sense? Does that apply to your world?
Yes.
Okay. Because that's how I would do it if I was in there. So, yeah. Because I think you've been doing this for over a decade, right?
Yeah, about 20 years.
Yeah, and so it's second nature to you. But when you start making this list down, and they read it the first time, they're going to think you invented fire. Oh God, that's so insightful, but for you, it's just like a yawn. But you do quantum physics on this stuff so fast because it's what you do. It's your thing. It's how you made $15 million freaking dollars last year because you're a stud in this area. And so if you're Peyton Manning or you're Tom Brady, this is how you throw a football. These are the mechanics to get this thing to spiral and leave my hands and be 47 miles an hour and drill a freaking hole in that guy's chest when it gets there. If you've ever caught a football from a professional quarterback, you'll never want to do it again, okay? And so, you know what I'm saying? So this is like, oh, my God. But there's a series of things that create that physical motion with that football, right? And they can explain it in detail, but there's only a few people on the planet that can actually accomplish it. And you're that guy. You're freaking Peyton Manning walking in there in this warehouse, and you can see stuff because of your 10,000 hours of experience that Malcolm Gladwell talks about. So this is going to be fun for you because now you're going to become a teacher rather than just a doer. You're going to teach other people to have what you feel like are natural insights, but they are a forced ranked list is what they are.
Right. I think breaking it down into the 80-20 is really helpful, too. I think that's something that I haven't really paid a lot of time or spent a lot of time doing.
If you've never been in a warehouse and you're in there for 5 minutes, how many things do you see that you can add value? 5 minutes.
Usually, right off the cuff, 10, probably 5 or 10 easy.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. It's exactly what I'm talking about. That's your first hit. And that's the low-hanging fruit, man, is what it is. It's what this guy doesn't know, it's what the customer doesn't know that you know. And so immediately we can make ourselves valuable right then. And that tells me that when I pull the thread on that sweater, I'm going to find 7 or 8 other things under the hood.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also how I find problems inside Ramsey. I start digging around, and I see something with my insight, and they go, whoa, how'd you do that? 30 freaking years of doing this. That's how I saw it. And then I saw it, and I pulled the thread on it, and then I opened up the hood, and oh, my God, you got insects under here. It's a problem, and that happens inside my business sometimes. And, and it's like stuff I know that somehow we didn't get transferred, and I got to go back and redo it. So anyway, it's delegating. You systematize it, and then you teach it, and then they prove to you that they did it, and then they prove to you that they did it again, and then you delegate a part of it, and then you delegate another part of it, and then you're not turning your customer over to a doofus, and you're not turning your brand over to a doofus, and they're not going to mess up either one. And that is how you do it. I wrote a little quick read on delegation off a talk I do on this, and I will send you a free copy of it. Hang on the line. We'll make sure we got all your particulars, and we'll send it out to you. It's like 37 pages. It won't kill you to read it. It's not bad. Might be 75, but it's not much. So But it gives you some of the basics we just talked about, but it does not have some of the things we talked about also. So you guys go back and re-listen to this episode because that was really good. Kevin is amazing. I'm proud of you, Kevin. You got a great business. An excellent job, buddy. Well done. Hey, folks, remember, better a wary warrior than a quivering critic. This world needs more high-quality leaders. So take courage and lead. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Thanks for listening to the EntreLeadership Podcast.